Welcome to the newest episode of Friday Night Wars, and you hear whose voice is speaking and whose lips are moving. Yeah, so now you know who won last week's show, and I'm not going to waste any time, Joe. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to waste the viewers' time. Let's get straight into this victory speech. So put 60 seconds on my clock, and here we go. There's one thing I love seeing, Joe. I look forward to it every single week. The comments as they get dropped in the section below. Mike. Oh, hey, I'm Mike. And I'm on the mic of the most electrifying sports debate show in the game today. My show, Friday Night Wars. And don't you forget it, Joe. It's my show. That's why I'm going to continue to win week after week. The way the comments kept piling up in my favor, it was just so much fun to watch. It was almost as fun to watch as watching Phillip Rivers torch the Raiders' defense last weekend. That was a very enjoyable game, right, Joe? So like the Lakers did in 2009, 2010, Mike and the Mike squad, let's go back to back.
Let's get ready to rumble! Step into the war zone! 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 Friday Night Warzone! Friday Night Warzone! Hey yo, it's Phil Flames. I'm with Mike on the Mic and Joe Morley. About to bring you more heat. Welcome to the war zone. You can have a floor seat. Watch them on your iPhone. Watch them on your Galaxy. It's a sports debate show. Straight up out of SoCal. Gather around the laptop. Friday nights it goes down. And we on the radio. Coming to your locale. Got into the third round. Better bring the smoke now. Step into the war zone. 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 Friday Night Warzone. Friday Night Warzone. Step into the war zone. 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 Friday Night Warzone. Friday Night Warzone.
Phillip Rivers, Colts, whatever. It is what it is. It's one game. Raiders went on. They moved on. It's over. Who cares?
You know,
At least the Raiders aren't out here trying to give, their running back a ball with no timeouts and running, clock, no time on the clock. Like, come on.
we don't affiliate ourselves with that man's decisions. Starting week or day one of the offseason, hopefully we will not be affiliating ourselves with that man's decisions. But hey, their game versus the Colts is over. The old Chargers quarterback, the gunslinger, the greatest quarterback of all time, Phillip Rivers, did it. Okay, I'm going a little too far there. But Phillip Rivers did take down the Raiders. That was fun to watch. It must have been painful to take the L in Friday Night Wars and in the Raiders this last weekend, man. You must have really been struggling this weekend.
Every loss is a hard loss. But I know my team goes out there, they give 110%. With all those cliches that they always say out there. It is. I saw a great quote on Twitter from a Raider fan. It said, "Dear Raiders, I thought this year was different." And you know what? That summed it all up right there. Like, to me, that summed it up. We thought it was different.
For 1 second.
Like, yeah. We thought it was different.
For 1 second, we thought it was going to be a different season. Oh, man. I love those pressers. You know what Anthony Lynn said in his press conference, speaking of press conferences? They straight up asked him, just a straight up question. They said, "Hey, Anthony, what was going on in that play where you guys ran the ball with no timeouts, 20 seconds left, then waited 10 seconds to send the field goal unit out and ran out of time?" Anthony Lynn said, "No excuses. We can't run the ball there. We just can't run the ball there." And he started yelling at the media, started yelling into the mic. They're like, "Anthony Lynn, yes, you're right. You can't run the ball there. You might want to watch your own press conference. You're 100% right. Do not run the ball there." I don't understand how you're the coach of an NFL football team in high school. I know this in high school, that when you're, especially, your rookie quarterback, but a high school quarterback, you're telling them, like, "Hey, in this 2-minute situation, when we run this play, you got to get up to the line and you got to do this. Whatever it is the plan is." I know we couldn't spike the ball there. Get up to the line, throw a pass to complete for the first down, whatever it is. Get up to the line, or the field goal unit's already ready to run out there. You don't make the decision in the moment. The decision's already made and you laid it out. But Anthony Lynn is just like, yeah, we can't run the ball there. That was a bad decision.
Yeah.
No shit, Sherlock. Good call.
I'm sure you practice. I'm sure most teams practice 2-minute drills all the time. Like all the time.
I like how you said most teams.
I want to say most teams because some teams, you know, I'm not quite sure whether could have that little iffy part. But every team should be doing it. They should be doing it. You know, hey, there should be like one day that you do 2-minute drills and special teams.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah. Every team that I played on, and it was 2 teams, 2 out of 2, neither one NFL level, neither one even college level, and we practice 2-minute drills, and we practice special teams, and we practice all the stuff that the Chargers suck at. So I don't know what's going on over there, but they'll figure it out. Speaking of Chargers and Raiders, they're playing tomorrow night for us. We're recording on a Wednesday. It was yesterday for y'all. It's going to be a good game. Last time they played, it came down to the last play, and that last play got reviewed and overturned in the booth to give the Raiders the victory. Kind of a little lucky, don't you think? A little lucky. A little bit too close for a team that had so many injuries that does not have those injuries anymore.
Win, lose, or tie. Raiders till I die.
I like it. I like it, Joe.
Raiders.
All right. You're going to poison their ears. Mine are kind of hurting. I regret wearing headphones.
I don't care, overturned or not. The Raiders still got that W.
Okay. We get it. The Raiders are a little better than the Chargers. It's not saying much. It's not saying much at all.
It's bad that this show is after the game because we could be 2-0 against you, or it could be 1-1. We could be talking more crap right now, but we don't know. We don't know.
We don't know. But what I do know is that we have a really good show, jam-packed show, some interesting topics to talk about. When I say interesting, I mean real interesting. So let's go to war.
Question number 1, will the AEW ever surpass the WWE?
This is an insane proposal. I'm going to try and convince you, Joe, and the viewers of the crown of wrestling being passed to AEW. That's right. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say yes. One day in the distant future, we're going to give it a couple years, we will see AEW, All Elite Wrestling, take over the wrestling entertainment business. While WWE has the high-priced talent, it's not about the money spent, really. It's about how WWE uses this talent. In this situation, AEW is using their talent in a more edgy and more effective way to get to the viewers at home. I stopped watching wrestling years ago because of one event and one event only. It was the releasing of CM Punk and the fashion that they did back then when, they were having their contract issues. And now Punk has said that he is interested in coming back to wrestling. He did not say the WWE for another run. Well, I wonder where Punk might land. Maybe the same place that stars like Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose, now known as Jon Moxley, and Brody Lee have landed? Probably AEW. And guess what? That'll be the tipping point for AEW. Thousands of people, including myself, will tune into AEW just to see CM Punk back in the ring. They already added Sting. We need to remember what a great mind Chris Jericho has been his entire time in wrestling, which is now 30 years, and that having him within that company kind of running things behind the scenes has been amazing for AEW. And just like Y2J does on everything he touches, it's going to be amazing, man. I think they're going to take over.
World Wrestling Entertainment has had many people try to take them down. The closest to taking them down was what? The WCW, but that didn't last long. It didn't last long. People are loyal to the WWE. WWF, when I grew up, right? People know that if you want to be a big-time name, WWE is where you got to go. I understand that AEW is doing awesome things, but what are they built off of? What are they built off of? Former WWE talent. Former WWE talent. People watch because they want to see what the wrestlers that they used to see in WWE are doing. I admit, WWE has started going downhill. They don't have A lot of the guys, a lot of the wrestlers like they had back in the days, a lot of the wrestlers nowadays don't have great mic skills. They can't talk. They can't pump up the crowd like they did back in the day. Mike, I've been to a couple of WrestleManias in my lifetime. I've been to a couple of WrestleManias. And let me tell you, those events are awesome. Some of the greatest times of my life. It's worth every penny to go to WrestleMania. I'll tell you that right now. WWE could put on a show. WrestleMania draws people from all over the world, not just the United States, all over the world. AEW might eventually bring in talent, but WWE is like the NFL. It is established. Everybody wants to be the next Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold, and they know they can't do it by being in the AEW. So, Mike, listen here. The AEW will be a great run, but eventually it will rest in peace, just like the rest of the organizations that have tried.
That was a really good promo, Joe. That was a really good promo. I'm so sad that buzzer had to end your promo. But just imagine if AEW started its own like Attitude Era type situation. They have all the building pieces to do it. They just got to be brave enough to do it. They're starting to like edge their way into it. There's been a few. I don't watch it religiously. I don't watch full episodes, but I do like to look up clips. I do, like you said, I like to see what the guys in my childhood are doing nowadays. I see a lot of them over there. And there's some guys that weren't just my childhood here. There's guys like Cody Rhodes over there and guys that are wrestling geniuses but are still young, right? What if they enter like their own Attitude Era and the WWE is refusing to change? They're staying with this little PG little kid thing. What's going to happen there? You know, AEW is going to draw most of the wrestling fans above the age of like 15.
It could, but WWE right now has the money, and eventually money buys everything. I'm telling you that. And how long can Cody Rhodes continue to go down that road? And he's hooked up with what? Tony Khan?
Yeah.
Of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they both run it. They have the money, but eventually you're going to run out. And the Attitude Era or whatever it is can only last, the new Attitude Era can only last so much in the world that we're in now. I'm telling you, to be honest with you, right? It's only going to last a little bit. And, you know, you're going to pull in some people, and, of course, everybody's going to turn in because everybody wants to see some crazy crap. But unless you're going to go ECW style and you're going to bring back some crazy ramp-breaking triple ladder matches, some crazy off-the-wall stuff that people haven't seen, it's all gimmick now. WWE has done it before, and everybody knows, and everybody sees it. WWE runs out the same people. They run out the same storylines all the time. But guess what? People still watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, it pisses me off. Does it piss me off that WWE brings in an outsider and all of a sudden gives them the championship belt? Hell yes, it pisses me off because there's a lot of hard workers in that organization that deserve a lot better, and the fans. And that's what Cody Rhodes did when he opened up AEW. Is he left because he should have been a bigger role in WWE than it wasn't. So he's pissed off. He was a disgruntled employee that went out and did his own damn thing. He's doing a great job, but to ever be at WWE's level, probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, it would take, 5 years at the minimum. If everything went amazing, they could maybe start to be threatening them in 5 years, just because of the sheer like empire that WWE has built. That thing, it reaches the entire globe, literally the entire world. Even in like the Middle Eastern places, they have shows, and it's ridiculous. And I agree with you in that point, but I just think that if AEW keeps going in the direction they're going, and if they can get CM Punk, which I really think they're going to. He had an interview about a week ago with Renee Young, and he said the only way that he'll come back to wrestling, or the thing that interests him to come back to wrestling, is to work with the people in AEW that he's never worked with before. He said the only barrier would be the money, but he said he'd be willing to take a pay cut if it means he's going to work a great story and he's going to enjoy wrestling again, because he said he's missing a part of him when he left wrestling. But if they can get CM Punk to kind of be like their Stone Cold, Dean Ambrose can kind of be like their Rock, you know what I mean? And they got a few veterans mixed in there just for the name value for now. I think they could really start to make a push at WWE, but it would take, 5 years. I was really upset with WWE when they let Punk go, to the point where I actually did stop watching. I still watch like classic stuff. Like I was watching, Bret Hart stuff last week when we were talking about it. But I think that people didn't realize how much the WWE puts a leash on the characters nowadays until they saw Cena leave. Because Cena, I think, was the last guy that was allowed to go out and talk and say whatever, not have to have a WWE scripted promo where you can go out and just be John Cena. And now that he's gone, it's unwatchable, man, for adults at least.
I haven't watched it in a while, but I do turn it on every once in a while when I flip into the channels and I see it. I go, oh, wrestling's on. And I'll listen, and I just get bored.
Yeah.
When they're out there talking, I'm like, what the hell? This used to be the best part.
Mm-hmm.
Come on out, talk your crap. Get the other people out and talk some more crap. And it's not even like that anymore. It's like, I will kick your behind right
that was
now.
Braun Strowman, huh? That was Braun Strowman.
It's like, what? What? You're going to kick my behind? Oh, no, you're not. Oh, I'm going to kick your butt. No, you're not. No, you're not. And it's like they slap each other. And it's like, come on. I just watched a highlight of Mike Tyson and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the ring. When Stone Cold says, you got your little beady eyes locked on the baddest, the eyes of the baddest SOB on the planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that was great crap right there. That was great stuff right there.
Yeah, that was the good old days, man. I'm sad I didn't get to witness it live. I had to watch it all on DVDs and VHS tapes. The thing that will upset you the most is if you do kind of look at some of these guys do in the ring, off the mic, they have the best athletes in WWE. The worst Dolph Ziggler in the WWE would be the most athletic guy, 15, 20 years ago. And he's like, a lower card guy in the WWE now. They have the athletes that can put on shows, but they don't let them do it.
Nope.
They don't let them do it.
They need to bring back the Godfather. They need to bring back Val Venus. I'm just kidding. They don't even
have Mark Henry put the sexual chocolate singlet back on.
Did you ever see Val? You know who Val Venus is?
Yeah.
I love that. That was one of my favorite characters. I don't know if they can get away with it nowadays, but when he comes out in his towel and he's like, "Hello, ladies."
Yeah, the Godfather comes out with his train.
Like,
yeah, come on.
But now what do we got? We got Fandango.
Yeah, Fandango.
Like, really? Fandango?
And Fandango was over too. That's the craziest thing. Him and Chris Jericho had a great WrestleMania match a couple years ago.
I heard Chris Jericho talking about it. I was watching an interview where he was talking about it like, who am I wrestling? Fandango? Who the hell is that? Like,
yeah,
I'm not going to do
that. Yeah, he said that he took it as the biggest challenge of his career, and he did it right. That's what, like, when I see Chris Jericho tell stories about the stuff that goes on backstage, like The Rock, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, they got handed this stuff, man. They weren't told to go out and work with Fandango. They got every main event match with each other, just great matches. But they kept telling Chris Jericho to go out and wrestle with people like Fandango or Sheamus and stuff. And literally, Jericho turns those people into stars. Made me realize how good Jericho is.
Hey, Chris Jericho is awesome. I saw him in WCW. He was in WCW.
Yeah.
Then he came to WWF or WWE, whatever it is, and he, as soon as that countdown came, how do you get away with doing something that happened in 2000?
Yeah.
It's Y2K. He turned it into Y2J, and he still did it for how many years? That's how you know how badass you are.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of the bubble. He even in AEW, he completely changed his character. He's the El Champion. Have you ever seen any of his AEW stuff?
I have not.
Go look up like a montage or something. It might be the best stuff that he's done yet. It's ridiculous.
No.
He's old. He can't wrestle anymore for like he used to at least. But his character work is ridiculous because it's like this is a completely different person than you've been, 10 different times. You've been 10 different characters, but all centered around Chris Jericho, Y2J, and it's very impressive. He's El Champion. He's the champion, basically. He's, like, prestigious. He has, like, this posse that follows him around, and he says stuff like, we're going to celebrate with a little bit of the bubbly after this, and he, like, blends his rock, like a punk rock character with, like, being, like, a leader of this prestigious faction. I don't know how he does it, man.
It doesn't beat the Chris Jericho that does this. Mike on the mic. You've made the list.
You got the book and everything. And like that. Like, how do you think this guy thought? This guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and they asked him to do that, and he made it a thing.
list.
He made it the best part of the show. He made it the best part of the show.
You knew the list was coming,
Man.
and he still sold it.
Yeah.
You knew
Yeah.
that guy was eventually going to make the list. He sold it.
No matter who he talked to.
That's another guy, Kevin Owens,
Yep.
Bray Wyatt. Great guys that I thought Bray Wyatt could have took over for the Undertaker. I thought he could have been the next Undertaker for the next couple of years as that character. And then they had him lose to the Undertaker and completely ruined him.
Yeah.
And then I just watched something the other day. He's doing like some fun house with puppets and crap like that. I'm like,
Yeah, he's a fiend now.
you killed Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
You killed him.
No, they don't let the guys do what they can do. These guys are characters. Bray Wyatt could be a superstar if he's in the Attitude Era. He was like a blend of Undertaker and Mankind. It was ridiculous. It was awesome.
Well, he was Husky
Harris. Good thing they
Harris.
got rid of that. That was bad. But
I mean, that's a couple characters, but the Wyatt family, I thought was awesome. I thought it was awesome.
It was.
The lights go off.
Uh-huh.
It was perfect.
Don't.
It had the Undertaker feeling.
Yeah, he's got the whole world in his hands. He's like coming down to the ring. The whole crowd is singing it, and they got like the lights. Yeah, he was over. He was over 100%. And then they were able to put the Shield against them, and that was epic. That was awesome. Man, there's so much stuff that they could do with these guys, and they just don't do it. They just don't do it. But the Firefly Funhouse thing, if you ever get a chance to watch it, was okay.
I'm going to tell you.
Cena and Wyatt.
Seth Rollins and what's his name? I can't even think of his name now.
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
They don't do it for me. They don't do it for me.
That's the thing too, is those are the guys I'm talking about when I say they have some freak athletes in the ring, that those guys could do anything, but outside of the match, they won't let them do anything. And these, Seth Rollins is kind of like Shawn Michaels was when Shawn Michaels was that cocky heel, like very early on in his career. That's kind of how Seth Rollins is, but they keep making them do dumb stuff that makes me like hate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just like watching the one good thing that they say within their 10-minute promo, and it's awful. It's almost like torture. But if you do get to watch that Fun House thing, they did a thing where Bray Wyatt was basically trying to get John Cena to turn heel, and there's one part in it where John Cena is out of control of his own body, and he's putting on NWO gear and doing the Hulk Hogan heel turn, and that part right there made me mark a little bit.
WWE ended it with me when they killed Axelmania. He still has not been eliminated from the Royal Rumble.
Where is Curtis Axel? Is he still even? Is he still?
Shout out to Curtis Axel.
Michael McGillicuddy.
Him and Bo Dallas, because I believe.
I believe. Oh man, it was so good. All right, let's cut this off.
We can go on for wrestling for
going
days.
way too.
We could
this
just
is
do a
going
whole
way
wrestling.
too far. Yeah, we'll do a whole wrestling Friday Night Wars if you like this. This show is like a wrestling theme thing. I don't know if you guys saw the intro. It looks like a 2005 Raw intro.
This would have been the perfect time for me to pull out my little WWE microphone. I'm like, it's my
and that's the bottom line, because Mike on the mic said so.
See, I don't know anybody who doesn't, around my age. I don't know, maybe it's a little too old for you, but everybody around my age, whenever we get together, if you're having a party or something, you have to open your soda can or your beer can just like Stone Cold. You're like, oh. It's at least that once at every party.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's go on to the next round. We'll be here all night.
Question number 2. Who is the biggest threat to dethrone the Los Angeles Lakers?
Mike, the Lakers are loaded up again. So looking around the league, you're looking for a team that's hungry, possibly young teams, right? Some young talent, a team that isn't afraid to face the Lakers. That they're not looking at the Lakers like, oh, I'm scared, right? I think I'm going to go with the Phoenix Suns. How about that? You like that? Remember how great they did in the bubble? Now they know what they can do. They know they can compete with a couple teams. They added the old man and Chris Paul. Ayton and Bridges are going into they're going now into their third year, and they're going to be improved a little bit. The Suns rotation has almost everything that you're looking for, and you want to build your team around. And Booker is I think is a great player. I like Booker. I know that this is probably isn't everybody's pick, and a lot of people will look at it, the Suns, and say, "Oh, hell no, not this, not the Phoenix Suns, right?" Well, they went undefeated in the bubble. They showed that they had a lot of confidence that they can go up against everybody, right? Booker and Paul will build their teammates up, and they're going to win together. The Lakers are built to, and they're going to dominate, but the Suns aren't going to dig themselves into the hole like they did at the beginning of last season. They went 8-0 in the bubble, and I believe they're going to come out hungry and determined this season.
Biggest threat to dethrone the Lakers? My pick is the legend himself, Luka Doncic, and the Dallas Mavericks, of course. The Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic are my Los Angeles Lakers and your Los Angeles Lakers' biggest threat, in my opinion. Luka Doncic put together an unbelievable run in the playoffs last year. We saw him go in. I think they got through the first round. They had to play the Clippers, took them to 7 games on like half a team, and a hobbled Luka Doncic. This run was ruined and cut short by a rolled ankle and a downed unicorn, if you know what I'm saying. Porzingis went down and Luka rolled his ankle, and that's kind of what ended the run. This year, they are locked and loaded. Luka got a full offseason to get even better at the magic that this dude pulls off on a nightly basis. And let me tell you, man, that guy is one of the most phenomenal basketball players I've ever seen play. And now they are legitimate threats to take down the Lakers in the West, because the Lakers might have to see them in the first or second round. So just be ready for that, Los Angeles. Most would take the Clippers in this situation, but after last year's complete failure, I'm going to go with the Mavs. I think Luka has an honest shot at being the MVP conversation, if not winning MVP, so why not taking his Mavericks to the finals? Also, the Mavericks got one positive out of that short offseason last year. They got a lot of rest going into this season, because this season is coming up, and it's coming up quick. It feels like I was crying yesterday as the Lakers won that championship. So here we go.
I think it's like the Lakers are so ready to take it again. It's not even funny.
Yeah, man. I think that it's the argument that we posed for this show to pick a team to dethrone the Lakers. But it's just like a topic that we talked about on my show once. We tried to pick a Cinderella team that could run the table. And I took the Mavericks in that situation too. I co-hosted the Trailblazers. But really, we're sitting here just basically saying, like, the Lakers are going to win the championship. And that's what I've been saying. I said all offseason and all season. And during the entire break. Once they got Anthony Davis, they won that championship. And the way that they went this offseason and attacked free agency and attacked the trade block, they're going to win another championship. If Clay would have been able to play, they could have had a chance. But since Clay's out, I don't know who's going to take them down.
Something always pulls me towards Portland. But I looked at Portland, I was like, no. And then I was going to say, hey, how about the Sacramento Kings? Why not? Why not the Sacramento Kings, right? Because the Southern always pulls. That's like two teams that I always get pulled towards. Yeah. I don't know why. I always like them. But then, I don't know, I just went with the Phoenix Suns. Why not? Why not?
Go for it.
Because like you said, here's the Lakers. They're up here. They're up at the top. We're assuming they're going to win again. They're already loaded and ready to go. It's not nothing's changed, right? They're the top dog, and we're just trying to find a team that's going to be hungry enough to go after them. Yeah. And it doesn't really matter who we pick, because every team is ready to go. But can they knock off the Lakers? That's what we got to find out.
You see what's going on with Harden?
I saw a picture where he's kind of looking like me.
Jesus, man. This guy's throwing his career away. I don't know what he's doing. He wants to get traded. I know he wants to get traded, but there's a way of going about it. That you are an NBA player. Just hold out. Don't drag us along. Come out on social media, say, I'm not going to practice. I'm not going to play for the Houston Rockets this year. I'll give you guys the money. You can keep the money. I'm not playing. And they'll trade you. They'll feel like there's no choice but to trade you, and they'll trade you. But going out and stop working out, stop getting ready for the season, don't show up to practice, and out partying, risking getting COVID, all this, you're just ruining your career, man. You're just putting a negative name on yourself. You're one of the best players in the NBA, one of the best players we've ever seen, one of the best pure scorers in the history of the human race. Do not ruin your life, man. You're in your prime.
Practice? We're talking about practice? I saw a thing that said teams know that if they have a couple days off, Harden's going to go out and party, but then he's going to come back when game day, and he's going to drop 50. They already know that. So I mean, he loves the party, and teams know that, and it makes you not want to trade for him. But the Houston Rockets gave him everything he wanted. I don't like this guy, get him out. They got him out. I want this guy, bring him in. They brought him in, and it's not working. So at what point do you just say, hey, well, he's somebody else's problem, let him go? The Rockets just need to let him go. Let him go.
Yeah, they do. They do. Just trade him. You're going to get a haul for him, even though he has the issues. Maybe he's probably hurting his trade value with every second that he does all this crap. But it's something that a friend told me, and it reminded me. He told me today, literally. He said he sent me that post that they were saying James Harden's out partying all the time in between days off and stuff, and basically just kind of not really caring about the NBA season too much. And he said, but Chris Paul was the problem in Houston, right? Doesn't seem like it.
They said Houston is holding out to get Ben Simmons.
Why?
That's what I was listening to Dan Patrick today. Shout out to Dan Patrick.
They have John Wall.
He's probably watching, but he was saying on the Dan Patrick show, they were saying Ben Simmons is the one that they want.
I like how you casually just be like, yeah, he's probably watching, but yeah. Dan Patrick!
There's a lot of people out there. Like I like Pat McAfee. Shout out to Pat McAfee. I should have said because he wrestled in AEW.
Yeah. No, he wrestled in NXT.
All these guys, they like to shot. They like to come watch us. They like to see what we're doing. They like to Team Joe, Team Mike. They just need to get them to vote now.
I want to be such a savage. Pat McAfee is such a savage on that show. I tune in every day, and every day a caller calls in and they say their first sentence, and it's just completely dumb. It's some dumb question or dumb statement, and Pat McAfee doesn't even respond. He just hangs up on them.
He did a whole segment. Pat McAfee did a whole segment making fun of the town that I'm from. So somebody called from Bakersfield, and he did a whole segment making fun of our sheriff, the Kern County sheriff, and all that. And I sent it to all my friends. I was like, hey, we were on the Pat McAfee show this morning. If you guys don't know, County, we made it, guys. We made it. And everybody's like, that's so embarrassing. But everything that he said was dead on, because he was like, our sheriff has come out and he goes, Kern County sheriffs will not enforce COVID rules or whatever. And he goes, oh, this sounds like one of those sheriffs that has a mustache. And I can and they pulled him up. Guess what? Mustache, right? Then they go, what's the sheriff's name? Donnie Youngblood. He goes, there can't really be a Youngblood. That can't really be his name. Well, guess what? That's his name. So he went off on that, like, when you're going to vote for Sheriff Youngblood. It was a great segment by Pat McAfee. I loved it, especially being from my hometown. But I know that everybody I sent it to, especially people that don't know Pat McAfee, they were like really embarrassed by it. Like, oh man, this is so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing.
Dude,
I loved it.
That dude is so entertaining. That dude is so – I don't know how he ended up being a punter in the NFL. Just think about how much crazy stuff and funny stuff this guy's witnessed. He was in the locker room with Peyton Manning, Robert Mathis, Reggie Wayne, all these guys. Vontae Davis. We saw him on Hard Knocks. Oh,
that's why I was pushing for Pat McAfee to be on Monday Night Football.
Dude,
in the booth.
Dude, they won't do it. There's no way they'll do it.
They'll
let him call games here and there, but it's not going to be no primetime games.
Well, at least I got one. I like Louis Riddick. They put him in the booth.
Yeah.
And now he's interviewing for the Houston Texans job. So he might be one and done, because Louis Riddick knows his crap. He knows the stuff. He knows the stuff. Shout out Louis Riddick. He's probably watching too. Louis.
Louis. All right, Louis. We're going to go to the next round for you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in.
We're all over.
Dan Patrick, Pat McAfee, and Louis. So we're good. On to the next round.
Question number 3. Name a pair of potential quarterbacks moving to a new home.
Wishfully thinking, I want to see Dak Prescott go to the Washington football team. Now, wait, before you guys start freaking out, I know Washington football fans, you're probably trained to hate Dak Prescott at this point. Hate on the man for now because he is on your rival team, probably the most hated team in that division. But trust me, when he starts throwing for 5,000 yards every year and 35 touchdowns, y'all will learn to love Dak Prescott on your team. Think about it, Joe. It fits in a lot of ways. Terry McLaurin finally gets a top-notch quarterback. The guy is so good. I said finally, it's only been 2 years, but he's about to go down a road DeAndre Hopkins went down in his first couple years in Houston. That defense will finally have a great offense to bounce off of and play even harder for. Imagine that defense with a really elite offense once Dak Prescott takes the helm. That would be something to watch. And Ron Rivera, he will be a great mentor to Dak, in my opinion, and get the best out of him. I've seen Ron Rivera get paired up with interesting quarterbacks in interesting quarterback situations. And time after time again, Ron Rivera brings out the best in whatever quarterback is the quarterback of his football team, no matter where he's coaching. And the cherry on top is twice a year for the next few decades, probably, we'll see Dak Prescott repeatedly dominate his old team, the team that screwed him over, the team that didn't pay him, the Dallas Cowboys. This is such a good fit, and I want it to happen so bad. Washington will become a perennial playoff team if they picked up Dak in this fashion. And hey, with a few more pieces, they may become a Super Bowl contender.
A quarterback that I think, that was going to be very overlooked. There's going to be overlooked. There's many reasons why he should be overlooked, but it's a Chicago Bears quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. A lot of people are going to write him off, but they forget he was the second overall pick in the 2017 draft. He's only 27 years old. He's been hurt, and he's been playing behind a horrible, horrible Bears offensive line. You can't deny that. He was benched for Nick Foles earlier this year, but since then, he's been coming back. He's a starting quarterback now. You know that, right? He's a starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. He's been the Chicago Bears starting quarterback for the last 3 games. He's quietly been doing a whole hell of a lot better since he's been back. His first game, he threw 2 interceptions. Not bad. That's horrible, his first game. But since then, in the 3 games that he's been back, 7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns with those 2 interceptions in that first game. Since returning the starter, let's see, his last 2 games, 70% completion rate. 70%. You like that, right? I'm not sure he's going to get a starting job next year, but there's a lot of teams out there that are going to be very much interested in him. I'm going to say Mitchell Trubisky winds up where? With my team, the Las Vegas Raiders. There's nothing against Derek Carr. I love Derek Carr. Big Derek Carr fan. But I know that John Gruden loves quarterbacks. John Gruden loves quarterbacks, and he loves players that everybody thinks is broken. Marcus Mariota came over, and he's not what the Raiders thought he was going to be. He's not out there doing what he's doing. I think John Gruden brings in Mitchell Trubisky to back up Carr and maybe even replaces him. I'm a big Carr fan. Like I said, I love his work. I love watching Derek Carr play. But sometimes the chances run out no matter how good you are. So that's my quarterback new team connection.
That's actually a really good pairing. If you think about it, if you really think about it, let's say, the Raiders are going to give Derek Carr another season. I truly believe that. But let's say they get Mitch as the backup, right? But the Raiders don't go nowhere next year again. How many times do you keep running it back, right? Till you got to make a change. I like it, Joe. I actually do like it because even if Derek Carr does break out and he breaks that ceiling that we know that he's just been held down by, and he just breaks that, he shatters it and becomes the elite quarterback we know he's got it. You could see it in him. When you watch him play football, he's got it. He's just got to break through, whatever it is, that barrier that stops him. Every time he approaches it and you're like, okay, Derek Carr is about to become a surefire top 10 quarterback, he goes down. And then he has to build himself back up, goes down. If he never does that, why not have a backup plan? They got a good team, the team that can compete with any team in the NFL. We've seen it this year.
I like I said, I love Derek Carr. I love watching him play. The passion that he brings, he wants to win. He legit wants to win, and he's going to give 100%. And then, like you said, there's some games where you're like, there he is. Derek Carr has broken out.
Yep.
And then the next game, it's like, Derek Carr, what happened? What happened? And it's not all his fault. It's not all Derek Carr's fault. There's no way it's all his fault. But like we just said, how many chances can you give somebody? Even if it's not his fault, people are going to call for his head. He's the quarterback of an NFL team. And who takes the blame when your team sucks? The quarterback. We see it in Philadelphia with Carson Wentz. It's not all Carson Wentz's fault, but who's taking the blame for it? Carson Wentz. Who's taking the blame in Dallas? Dak Prescott. So being an NFL quarterback comes with a lot of pressure, and it's not always going to be your fault. It's not always Derek's fault, but eventually, if the Raiders do not win and the Raiders do continue to go the route that they're doing, he's going to get replaced.
Yeah, think about it, that Carr contract that's going to come versus the Mitchell Trubisky contract. And the difference in their play the same difference in the money. You know what I mean? John Gruden's probably thinking about stuff like that.
And you see the talent. I see the same talent in Mitchell Trubisky that I see in Carr.
Mm.
That some games, awesome.
Mhm.
Some games, horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And you put him in John Gruden, you put him with somebody that wants to change him and turn him into something. John Gruden took on Nathan Peterman. You don't think he's going to take on a Mitchell Trubisky?
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. And you could tell Matt Nagy does not believe Mitchell Trubisky at all. That's not helping him at all. That's not helping him at all. He benched him way too soon. How do you bench a quarterback at 5-1? You know what I mean? And the thing was, it wasn't like they were 5-1 and he was playing atrocious. He was playing like he was the year before. He's playing just Mitch Trubisky. You know what I mean? It wasn't any worse. You're 5-1. You might as well keep him in. But yeah, man, and I like the move. I think that it could happen, and I think it's a win-win scenario for whoever does grab Mitch Trubisky and has a veteran quarterback. You know what I mean? It's a win-win because if your veteran quarterback breaks out and you're cool, you're straight, you can just keep Derek Carr. If not, you got Mitch Trubisky as a fallback plan. That's why I was saying that why isn't any of these people picking up Kaepernick? I know the whole political thing on the outside, but when he was good, back a couple years ago, he still could be a backup in the NFL. What was the loss here? Because if your starting quarterback just keeps playing well, then he just stays a backup, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think some teams are afraid of quarterback controversies, but
yeah,
why not? I think to bring in a backup at any position, no matter how great that starter is,
yep.
You light that fire and you let them know, hey, you can be replaced no matter how good you are, and nothing's wrong with a little bit of good competition.
Yeah, it'll ultimately just make your football team better because whether or not the backup takes a spot or not, the best quarterback is going to be out there, and that competition will fuel both quarterbacks to give their best out of fear of losing their job.
And it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is. You could have Tom Brady as your quarterback.
Yeah.
People are still he's going to have one bad game, and they're going to go, who's the backup? Oh, Blaine Gabbert. I love Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see. Blaine Gabbert wouldn't have done that. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
That was a thing with Tebow for like 3 years. Every time the man was on the field, everyone's yelling Tebow in the stands, right? What do you think of my move? I like Dak to Washington a lot.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I like that move.
Yeah.
There's a couple places that I can see Dak Prescott. I do not see him in Dallas next year.
No, me either.
I'm sure he's leaving, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of teams lined up. But he knows that division, just like you said. He knows that division.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what he can do in that division. You put him on the Washington football team, which is already an up-and-coming team, probably going to win the division this year, right? That's probably going to, if we'll see how Dwayne Haskins plays the rest of the year, but that's probably going to be your NFC East division winner. And you put Dak on him, whew, Terry McLaurin needs Terry with McLaurin with a badass quarterback. Woo-hoo.
Oh man, Terry McLaurin, dude, he's already going off every year. He may have 1,500 yards in a season. That pairing would be amazing. And I think Ron Rivera would do a very good job with Dak of bringing it down. Like sometimes I see, Dak's stat lines in games, and I'm like, why is he rushing the ball 12 times and throwing the ball 55 times? Do you guys have other players? I think Ron Rivera would do a very good job with Dak Prescott and all these Dak haters. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. He just saved his entire franchise. You can't hate on him now.
Look, and when Dak went down, Dak had to see it. Dak had to see this. When Dak went down, there was a lot of Cowboy fans that cheered.
That was so
bull
sad.
crap. A lot of bull crap, and I hated it, and I called them out for that. There was a lot of Cowboy fans that were cheering, and they thought their team was better without Dak. Hey, what's the old saying?
Now
you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Yeah.
Are you happy now, Cowboy fans? Are you happy now? Because now Stephen A. Smith is making TikToks every week going, "How about them Cowboys?"
I love those TikToks too.
Shout out to Stephen A. Smith. I know he's watching.
I know he's watching this show, man. Yeah, man, that was horrible when the Cowboys finished. I mean, when they signed Andy Dalton, you saw it all over the internet. Even Skip Bayless will say, "Oh, maybe Andy Dalton's a better option than Dak." There is no way. You can rank Dak 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. The man's a top 10 quarterback, wherever you put him in the top 10, and he is amongst the best in the NFL. He's been since his rookie year, and he improves every year. That's the scariest thing, is in the offseason, I'm getting really passionate because I'm a big Dak fan. In the offseason, all I heard was Dak hate, right? He doesn't deserve the contract, all this stuff. So I just stopped arguing with people. I had a bunch of different people. I did a show with Alex Robson, Renee, my old co-host, others that I did shows with. Just the Dak conversation came up because people knew I'm a big Dak believer. I stopped debating with them. I said, what do you need Dak to do to tell you that he's earned his money? What do you want his stat line to be? And the highest one that I had received was 40 touchdowns passing. I think it was 4,000 yards and make the playoffs. And then they will say that Dak deserves his money, and they'll be on my side of this argument. Dak was on track to over 7,000 yards. Dak was on track to over 45 touchdowns. Dak was on track to go to the playoffs. Let's be honest. I know the Cowboys suck, but if they had Dak, they would probably win in the division, even if they were just 8-8 or 7-9.
I can't remember off the top of my head what week he went out. What was it, week 3 or week 4?
Yeah, and it was just recently people were just catching up to him.
Yeah, and he's been like top 10 in the league passing until recently, like week 10 or week 11, they started taking him out. That's how good he was. That's how much he meant to the team. Yep,
that's how much they asked of him too. How are you gonna ask of him to do that much and then be like, yeah, but you can't have the pay you're asking for?
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You're good. But we still want to put the franchise tag on you to see if you are really that good, to see if we really want to pay. Like, really, you've had this guy for 3 to 4 years. That's why I hate the franchise tag too. That's another conversation.
Yeah.
I hate the franchise tag because by the end of the rookie deal, you should already know if you like him or you don't like him.
Yeah, with the franchise tag, they should change the rule. The player has the choice to go ahead and accept the franchise tag. If they want to stay with their team, like in a situation with Hunter Henry, right? Hunter Henry is playing under a franchise tag this year. But the reason is because the team didn't come to terms with him, but he doesn't want to leave the team. So he decided to be franchise tagged. He kind of made the decision. He came out and said, hey, I'm going to take the franchise tag. We're going to work on a contract next offseason. That makes sense for the franchise tag. Delay the negotiations one offseason if both sides want to make something happen. But in a situation where the team is just like, I don't want to pay you, but I want to take your services still, okay, you shouldn't be allowed to use the franchise tag for that. The player should be able to say, nah, I'm going to go to free agency.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's what it should be. If the team has the option to tag him, he should have the option to untag himself. I hated it. And a lot of people were like, well, that's just the way it goes. Brian was one of them. Brian Bolster and I got into a long argument. He was like, this is how it is, man. It's how it is. And I was like, well, it's not how it should be. I mean,
just because it was one way or it is that way doesn't mean it shouldn't be changed.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of football fans, and it's coming down to that right now. NFL is in the middle of a change right now. And people are, and we see it because we're in the sports community right now. We talk a lot of sports, and you and I talk, and we see it. There's old school NFL fans and there's new school NFL fans, and they're colliding right now.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in the middle because I can relate with both of them. I think you're right there too. There's analytics. When analytics took over baseball, it was a big deal, right? Old school baseball fans hated it. Old school scouts hated it. Well, guess what? Analytics is taking over the NFL. Like it or not, they're taking over. Cynthia Freeland on the NFL Network, you see it. You see James Coe, he's doing it. Analytics is a big part of the game now. You like it or not. Well, guess what? Paul DePodesto, the guy that they did Moneyball about, they called him Peter Brown in that video. Well, guess the team that he's taking over? Guess the team that he's running right now? The Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
The Cleveland Browns. Has he turned the Cleveland Browns around? Yeah,
I would say
Cleveland
yes.
Browns fans are probably happy about that, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of working. I mean, there's certain stats just like in baseball that you probably don't want to overlook, and they do that in baseball, and it doesn't work you could say analytics doesn't work in the Mina Kimes. I don't know if you know her from ESPN. I have her on Twitter. Every time there's like a 4th down and 1 or the team goes for 2 and they miss it, she's always like, oh, here comes the analytic haters that are going to say that it didn't work. But it basically was just a bad play call.
Yeah.
Analytics said go for it in that time, but you did a weird play call and it didn't work. That's not on analytics. That's on you. That's on you as a coach because you didn't call the right play.
Yeah, and I think the perfect coach is able to blend the two and know his situation and know the analytics. Understand what the percentage is. Understand that, hey, man, it's worked out this many times out of this many times. This is how we should probably go about it. But also have in the back of your mind just some common sense also at the same time, because the analytics don't take certain things into account. And there's a lot of stuff that happens in football that cannot be written down on a stat sheet. And Aaron Donald is a perfect representative of that. This dude is an absolute freak of nature. He doesn't get 10 sacks a game like we saw, Lawrence Taylor and them doing. But this man, if you just sit and watch a Rams game and you're not a Rams fan, so you're not watching the whole team, I encourage you just to watch Aaron Donald every play. The dude sucks up 3 blockers every single play, every single snap, the entire game. Analytics can't really explain for that. You know what I mean? It's not going to be able – I'm sure there is double team and triple team stats, but it's not going to go into the Defensive Player of the Year award, decisions. But I'm just saying, like, we got to be able to blend both analytics and we got to be able to blend kind of like just the common sense part of football. It's the same thing with, like, OBJ. A lot of people got really mad at me. I'm saying that, OBJ is still a good receiver in the NFL. I wasn't saying he was top 10. I wasn't saying he was top 15. I wasn't saying that he was elite. I wasn't saying any of that. I was just saying that the reason that his numbers have gone down is because he's not the center of the offense, which is fine. And, the Browns are kind of smart because when OBJ has been the center of offenses, it's not been a good offense. So, I mean, he's a piece of the offense. He's a wide receiver, 2 on that team. With Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and Jarvis Landry and all those guys, he's the third option. You know what I mean? That's why his numbers went down. It makes sense. He doesn't suck. You watch his film, the dude's just as good at running routes. He's just as fast. He's just as quick in and out of his cuts. And yeah, that's the part where it's just like the analytics don't account for everything, man.
Yeah, and I mean, to bring us all back for full circle, Dak Prescott, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to the money.
Yeah.
And the salary cap in the NFL, for some reason, the NFL has always been the next man up gets the biggest contract. And I think that was the problem with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. Is Russell Wilson has got his big contract and he got $45 million to end his contract, $45 million a year. And Dak's like, hey, I'm next one up.
He's next
which,
up,
which is right because that's the past practice of the NFL. Mm-hmm. Hey, it doesn't matter if you're better than Russell Wilson or not. Past practice has showed that you're a free agent quarterback, you go to the top of the line. You're a free agent wide receiver. Hey, Sammy Watkins was not nowhere near $17 million wide receiver.
Yeah.
But he got it. Why? Because he was the top wide receiver on the market. And that's what they do. And now baseball used to do that too. Baseball used to hand out these 10-year, $280 million contracts just because he was the top guy on the market. They stopped that. Now they have the analytics. They go, hey, this is their value. And we're going to see that in the NFL pretty soon. We're going to see that where, hey, Dak, this is what you're worth. We might pay you a little bit over. There might be one team that comes over. But analytics is going to change the way that they pay these players in the NFL.
Yeah, and that's another argument whenever I was talking about it with people and on people's shows and on people's live streams. I mean, it was constant. Yeah, you remember, the Dak Prescott saga was basically the entire talk of the NFL offseason other than COVID, right? And another thing that was brought up a lot was, well, no one's worth $500 million or $400 million, whatever Dak was asking for, right? And I said, okay, here's my question to you for that. When Lamar Jackson asked for $400 million, are you going to have the same up in arms throw? When Josh Allen asked for $400 million, you got the same no? And you guys going to all protest? Or is it because Dak Prescott's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys is why you guys are freaking out that he's asking for the next max deal? Like you said, that he's next in line. It's going to happen with every star quarterback for the rest of history. So why is Dak any different? Just haters, man. It's just haters. I'll get crickets in responses when I ask that question. Are you going to pay Lamar Jackson that contract? And back then, in the offseason, Lamar was coming off his MVP season and everything, so they had no idea what to say.
See, I did a lot of podcasts on the same thing. Like you said, it was a big topic in the offseason. Yeah. I did a lot of my podcasts on it. And I basically said the same thing. When do we stop paying these guys the top market? Just like I just said, when do we stop paying the top of the line? And the examples you used, Lamar Jackson. I used Josh Allen back then, like Sam Darnold. These guys that are quarterbacks that aren't good, and we know they're not better than Patrick Mahomes is the top quarterback.
Yep.
He got his money. Hey, and he got a hell of a lot of money.
Yep.
So should anybody make more than Patrick Mahomes? Hell no. Hell no.
But are they?
But will they? Yes.
Yes.
Somebody will.
They will. Yes, they will. That's a good way to close this discussion. Yes, they will, right? I mean, it's going to happen. So just because it's Dak Prescott, just because he's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, just because he is laying his worth out to the world does not mean that you should hate him. Thanks for tuning into the show, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Had a great time. This one might have been a lengthy one. I just got a feeling, just a feeling this might be a lengthy one. But hey, more of us, more enjoyment for you. the more amount of times I get to beat Joe. Maybe I will have the bragging rights of beating Joe on the longest episode of Friday Night Wars ever.
Maybe not.
Maybe they all tuned out because you kept talking. I'm kidding.
No. People tune in. I mean, like I said, we got a lot of big name stars watching this show, and they love it. They love just watching me go at it, and they love hearing my takes. And they tell me all the time. They tell me in the DMs. They just don't comment.
They don't got time to comment though.
They don't got time
to comment. All right, y'all. Just always remember, and I'll say the catchphrase before we turn the lights out. Little reference in case some old school fans remember Sean Merriman's lights out catchphrase. Before we turn the lights out, just always remember that when you're talking sports debate or you're doing sports talk, you never know when you're going to need to go to war.
To the war zone. Step into the war zone. Step into the war zone. Step into the war zone.